Okay, so over your Easter break, you had to do the DEB mock. So here's your answers for it. So section A answers. So question 1, it asked you to answer any of the 5 parts. So give 2 functions of water in a cell. So water can be used as a solvent, it can be used as a reaction medium, it can be used to maintain cell shape. It's also used for temperature regulation, so you can write down any of those. Name a protein that has a structural role in humans. You've got keratin, which makes up your hair and your nails. You've got collagen, which makes you not have wrinkles. You've got myosin, which makes up your muscle. But it has to be a structural protein. Okay, give an example of a catabolic reaction. So catabolic reactions are reactions where you go from big substances to smaller substances. So the examples they've given you are respiration, fermentation, which is your anaerobic respiration, or glycolysis. Right? Which 2 elements are present in the ratio 2:1 in a carbohydrate? Sorry, just not working for a sec. Okay. So in your carbohydrates are carbons, hydrogen, and oxygens. So if you think of your glucose, you've got C6H12O6. So your H's and your O's are always in a 2:1 ratio. So hydrogen and oxygen are always in a 2:1. Okay, name a vitamin involved in the formation of your connective tissue. Connective tissue is vitamin C. So you need vitamin C for your immunity and to make your membranes form correctly. Right? And where would you expect to find lipoproteins in human cells? You find them in the cell membrane, also known as your plasma membrane. And that was question 1. Question 2, it's your ecology question. It says, what's the precise meaning of the term conservation as used by ecologists? So if you had watched the videos and studied our conservation from before the holidays, you should know this. All right, so conservation is wise management of the Earth's resources to maintain either a wide range of habitats or to prevent the death and extinction of different organisms. Give 2 reasons why you would conserve wild species. So again, you do it to prevent extinction, to protect habitats, to encourage biodiversity, and to maintain a species, right? Then it goes on to explain the term pollution. So pollution, again, we covered it before the break, was any harmful addition to the environment. Give an example of a human activity that results in pollution of air or water. You could say dumping, littering, sewage disposal, transport, electricity generation, radioactive processes, agriculture activities, industrial activities, and you could list them if you wanted. So for your agriculture, you could have said your slurry spreading. For your industrial, you could have had burning of waste in factories, etc. Okay, suggest a method of controlling the pollution that results from the activity you referred to. So it has to match with what you've said. All right, so if you said dumping, how could you clear up dumping? If you said spreading slurry, how can you prevent slurry being spread and causing the pollution? So it says, give an example of the use of microorganisms in waste management. So your microorganisms are your bacteria and fungi, and they can be used to break down waste in sewage treatment plants. They can be used to break down biological material in landfills. All right, you can use them in compost heaps, etc. All right, question 3 was to do with cell division. So it gave you a diagram which shows you a stage of mitosis. It asks you to identify that stage. So in terms of your mitosis, your stages, you should remember them by the party, Monday and Tuesday. Reference, so you have prophase, metaphase, anaphase, and telophase. So look at the picture and see where you think it falls into the cycle. So in your prophase, you should still have a nucleus. So when we look at the picture, there's no nucleus there. So it's not prophase. The next stage, you would have your chromosomes line up along the equator, and they will be attached by spindle fibers, which is metaphase. Our picture looks like that, so this picture is metaphase. Name the parts labeled A and B. B is a spindle fiber, A is a chromosome. C, explain the significance of mitosis in single-celled organisms. It allows your single-celled organisms to reproduce. That's their job. They're only 1 cell big. They don't have reproductive systems, so they reproduce by mitosis. It says, once mitosis is complete, the cell divides. What's the process called? In the case of animal cells, it's called cleavage. All right, what does the term cancer mean in relation to cells? It's cells lose the ability to control the rate of your mitosis and suggests 2 possible causes of cancer. UV light, asbestos, cigarette smoke, dioxins, chemicals, exposure to chemicals, the list can go on and on and on. Viruses can even do it. Question 4, it says, use your knowledge of human development in the female reproductive system to answer the following questions. So name the structure formed after the zygote divides by mitosis, so it's called a morula. Alright, so you have sperm meet egg made a zygote, which is one cell big, then it keeps dividing and it makes a substance, a structure which looks like a berry, which is called a morula, and then that keeps dividing and dividing and dividing and forms the next stage, which looks like a hollow ball, and that's called your blastocyst. So that's your answer for part B. So it says approximately 5 days after fertilization, the structure refers and develops into a hollow ball. What is that ball called? It's called a blastocyst. Part C, it says approximately 10 days after fertilization, the structure referred to forms the embryo. Name the 3 germ layers formed, and for each germ layer, give one organ that develops from it. So your germ levels or layers are endo, ecto, and mesoderm. Okay, so that way I think of them is endo is inside, ecto is outside, and meso is your middle layer. So think of organs or systems which will be found in those areas of you. So your endoderm is your innermost layers. So it will make the inner lining of your digestive system, the inner lining of your vascular system, the inner lining of your respiratory system. All right. Your ectoderm is the outside of you. So when you look at a person, right, from your 2 meter distance, right, what do you see? So you will see skin, you will see hair, you will see nails, okay, and embedded in your skin, you've got your nervous system. So that will be found there. And then your mesoderm is the middle section or chunk of you. So in that middle section between your skin and between all the linings, you will find your skeleton and you'll find all your other systems. So you could list respiratory, excretory, circulatory, digestive system, etc. It says what important structure is formed from embryonic and uterine tissues. So that's your placenta, and that's how your baby is attached to the lining of the womb and gains all its nutrition, etc. Question 5, it says, in the case of the following pairs of terms, clearly distinguish between the first term and the second term by writing a brief sentence about each. So you have to write a sentence on both, and you have to name which came or which linked to which. So the first 2 were antibody and antigen. So antibody is a protein produced by your white blood cells in response to an antigen. The particular white blood cell they're made by are your B cells. An antigen is a foreign molecule that stimulates the production of an antibody, or you could also written a protein found on the outside of cells. Active immunity, it's production of a person's own antibodies in response to antigens, where passive immunity is where a person gets given antibodies formed by another organism. So your tetanus injection is passive immunity. When you were a baby in the womb, you were getting passive immunity from your mother. If you breastfed, you got passive immunity. Right? A B lymphocyte is a B cell. All right, they mature in your bone marrow, they control bacterial infections and some viral infections, and they produce antibodies. That's the biggest difference. Your T cells mature in your thymus, and you've got different types. You've got helpers, killers, and suppressors. They don't make antibodies. Okay, they produce a chemical which is known as perforin, which causes abnormal cells to burst. Okay, then you have antibiotics. Antibiotics are chemicals produced by bacteria or fungi which help to kill other bacteria and fungi without harming any other tissue. All right, and a vaccine is a non-disease causing dose of antigens which induces an antibody response. Your general defense system is your defense system which prevents all pathogens equally from entering the body, or deals with all pathogens equally. And they will be your monocytes, your macrophages, the wax in your ear, phlegm, stomach acid, right? And your specific defense system will attack or respond to only particular or specific pathogens and antigens. All right, so that's question 5. And the final question of section A is question 6. It says ATP is the product of the light-dependent stage of photosynthesis. What does ATP stand for? So that stands for adenosine triphosphate. So make sure you call it adenosine, not adenine. So adenosine triphosphate. What's the function of ATP in cells? It's an energy store in terms of being specific. It's a high energy store. It's a high energy carrier. In what part of the cell does the light-dependent stage of photosynthesis take place? So part of the cell, you're talking chloroplast. Then it says NADPH is another product of your light-dependent stage of photosynthesis. What's the source of the hydrogen ions, the protons, to make your NADPH? So the source of the hydrogen is water, right? So when your water split in your light stage, during hydrolysis, it made lots and lots of protons. And that's where they came from. Why is oxygen considered to be a waste product of the light independent stage? It's considered to be waste because it's not used within photosynthesis. Okay? And then list 2 possible fates for the product for oxygen. So it's released into the atmosphere. It can be used internally as respiration for the plant, or it can be used externally by different organisms for respiration. Okay, and that was question 6.